I lost weight eating simple whole foods, the way that everyone who did keto originally did it. That's not how you're learning to do keto today. Corporations have hijacked keto so they can sell you products. Understanding how we got to this point is key to breaking free from the biggest lie that you are actually paying for. It's a lie that's costing you money, but more importantly, it's a lie that's costing you your health. Back in 2020, when I found keto, first of all, I found it with doctors. So Dr. Fung helped me to understand that hormones were what controlled whether I gained or lost weight, and that calories was not a significant anything that I needed to pay attention to. He also helped me to understand that carbohydrates were what was triggering my hormones. Very shortly after finding Dr. Fung, I found Dr. Berg, who focused on the idea that I should be eating whole, unprocessed foods. Then I found Dr. Westman, that famous white coat video, where I learned about eating to satiation. Next, I found Dr. Berry, who taught me to get rid of seed oils. He actually said that seed oils were the most toxic thing in my cupboard, that I shouldn't give them to charity or to a food bank. I should throw them in the garbage. That's how toxic they were. Now, these four doctors set me up to really understand that it was the food that I was going to eat moving forward that was going to be the difference between me maintaining the painful body that I was living in, that was overweight, or getting my weight under control and my pain just no longer existing for me. Please subscribe. The next doctor that I found actually was a woman named Becky Gillespie, and she was married. And first of all, I just watched her because I wanted to have a female perspective, but she didn't say anything that was different than all the male doctors that I was watching. And she had two channels. So she had her personal doctor channel, and then she had another one called Two Fit Docs, where she and her husband talked about the keto diet. Although he really did seem to be struggling with maintaining the keto lifestyle much more than she was. That struggle that I watched her husband have, I found another channel, not purposefully, but then if you're watching keto channels, you start getting suggested keto channels. And I found this other woman who had quite a bit of weight to lose, was not a doctor, and talking about her keto journey, which pulled me into a bunch of ladies talking about their keto journeys. The number one thing that I learned, especially from this one particular woman who was overweight, had a one child that was a little girl who had her some medical issues herself. What I learned from watching this one lady was how keto-friendly snacks seem to be interrupting her ability to stay on track with her own food. And what I also did find really frustrating is that this lady who had a child who was struggling with health issues, although she had changed her eating habits for herself, had the kid eating very sugary foods. I feel like watching this mom struggle with her daughter's food helped me to start to touch the idea that we live in a society that's telling us that we treat ourselves and therefore our children with poor quality food, even though we clearly see that it's causing us to gain weight. And now the new question, looking at this little girl who was a little bit on the plumper side, and just wondering like why mom isn't making good changes for her and her daughter. And so these were question marks. And I found more channels with more ladies who were talking about their keto life. And while I'm watching these videos, and well, here in Canada, at the time, I didn't have access to these keto snacks that they were talking about. They're very limited. They were talking about low carb candy and low carb bars and whatever. They're, again, very limited here in Canada. I didn't have access. So I kept doing what I was doing, which was eating low glycemic fruits and vegetables, and mostly vegetables because I didn't like fruit. And I was eating healthy meat, healthy salads. And my weight was regulating very quickly. And these ladies were struggling. Now, I keep watching and I find another channel Keto Savage. He's a bodybuilder. His wife is a bodybuilder. And I'm watching their progress, and they're very on their meats and on their foods and whatever. And so they're doing very well. No cheating, or not much cheating, and not many products, although they have their own product in the keto world. But in terms of food, often they talked about eating normal food. And of course, I found Highfalutin Low Carb, which is a channel about recipes. And there were lots of channels about recipes. His stood out to me because one of the things that he said was that he was doing these keto recipes and sharing all of this stuff with the world because he was also hoping it would help him to stay accountable. And he himself acknowledged often falling off of keto. But then when I looked at the things that he was making, a lot of the foods he was making did seem like fun foods. Finally, the other channel that I want to talk about that I found was Keto Connect. This channel I watched for years. I watched them producing a cookbook, which they eventually did put out. One of the things that I found really interesting was in my years where I started to make my own videos, I did a bit more research into Keto Connect and found out that they were never actually overweight. They didn't seem to have any health issues. And it seems like they started keto because of an interest that they had, and also then their desire to make a cookbook. There weren't many keto cookbooks, and it just seemed to line up well for them. My frustration was that I watched their channel for several years, and this is a channel that often promoted keto snacks so I'd watch them trying different keto snacks and talking about them and whatever. And eventually part of the reason I stopped watching their channel was because like every video, there was a different keto snack that they were either trying out or promoting. But it wasn't until I was making my own videos and really started to do some research on who got me started in this keto world that I realized that they were never overweight. Do you need to be overweight to do keto? No. But I think the fact that they didn't have any weight issues, they didn't have any health issues, contributed to them not being bothered to promote keto snacks, because as much as they were gathering information about what made keto healthy, I don't think they were so worried about what processed food could possibly be doing to someone's body. All this to say, Wellness Warrior, that when I started my keto lifestyle, the people that I was following were people who did keto using real food, whole food. The people that I were following first and foremost were doctors talking about why we are in the position we are in today, where we're eating highly processed, ultra processed foods that are damaging our body and then struggling with weight gain, inflammation, and poor health. And these doctors were telling us, eat real food. All the normal people that I was following were struggling because they were trying to figure out, how can I eat keto carnivore and still indulge in junk food once in a while, still indulge in bars and cookies and the stuff that made me overweight in the first place. And then, of course, because these two sets of people exist, you have the doctors giving good information, but then you have all these up and coming channels of regular people like me, because I'm not a doctor, just talking about their experience of doing keto and the weight that they've lost or are trying to lose. And that's important. The regular people that I was following were trying to lose weight, but not succeeding. And a lot of them were not succeeding, from what I can tell, from what they were talking about, because they would fall off keto. And eventually, what I figured out was that many of them fall off keto because although keto snacks might not have a lot of carbohydrate in them, they still have sweetness to them. And when your mouth tastes sweet, even if there's no sugar coming into your body, the unfortunate reality is that your body reacts as if there's sugar coming into your body, because our mouth and our brain, anyways, the part that decides for us and starts those chemical cascades that the Dr. Fung was talking about. So the hormonal reaction that happens when you taste sweet, it hasn't entered the system yet. You just tasted it, and your hormones start doing what? Storing fat to make space for the incoming sugar. We were sabotaging, well, they were sabotaging their diet by eating these sweet tasting things because they thought they were safe to eat these sweet tasting things because there was less sugar in them. So can we talk about less sugar in them? Because that's where these keto products start coming into the story. Very much more recently, I've started to see keto products in the grocery stores here in Canada. Those products, and I have two products on my desk right now. One's a keto product and one is not a keto product. And I want to point some things out about these two products that I think is really important. If I start with the keto product and I just read what's on the front of the packaging, and I'm not showing you the packaging or the company because it's not the point of what company it is as much as it is comparing two products. One is a keto product, one is a regular protein bar. This keto product says that it has 21 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar with 12 grams of fiber. The flavor is chocolate chip cookie dough. This protein bar has 20 grams of protein, 3 grams of sugar, and has 190 calories. So not giving me the fiber count on the front. Interesting difference. This one also highlights that it's a chewy chocolate chip version. It's chocolate covered and it's gluten-free. Going back to this bar, it does, if I look at the ingredients now, it does tell us that it has a protein blend, which is milk protein isolate, whey protein isolate. Then it has polydextrose, which is fiber, almonds, water, unsweetened chocolate, erythritol, cacao butter, glycerin, natural flavors, salt, sunflower lecithin, and or soy lecithin, sucralose, stevia extract. What I love about that ingredients list is that all of the words were words, and that even a lecithin, I hate that word, but it just means it's something to help mix the water and the fat together. It's an emulsifier. Now, if I go over to the protein bar that's from the regular company, we have soy protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, sugars. We have maltodextrin and sugar, water, whey protein isolate, milk protein isolate, modified palm kernel oil, canola oil, whole milk powder, tapioca starch, cacao powder, chocolate liqueur, cacao butter, salt, milk fat, peanut flour, almond butter, gelatin, glycerin, maltitol syrup, maltitol, natural flavors, calcium carbonate. We have soy lecithin, sucralose, and then we have xanthan gum and tocopherols. Again, except for tocopherols, everything on there are real word things that I actually know what they are. Now, there might be some words on there that you don't recognize. I mean, I read a lot of labels, but they're all things that are real words. So both of these products only have words that we can understand, which I do appreciate. This product, though, so the non-keto one, has canola oil in it. It has palm kernel oil in it, which I don't believe is a healthy natural oil. I'll double check. So it seems that palm kernel oil, although it can be cold pressed, after the cold press or hot press or chemical extraction process, it's refined. And it's refined through bleaching, deodorizing, and fractionation. That means that the oils in this bar are not the healthiest oils. Compared to the oils over here, we have the lovely cacao butter. The thing that annoys me with this bar, Wellness Warrior, is it says natural flavors. Natural flavors could be anything, and it could even be sugar, which is Probably one of the ways that they get these bars to taste so good, they say natural flavors and then they just add sugar. The problem with these products is that they're highly processed. So it's not just these women who were doing the keto diet around the time that I was starting so I'm watching them, their videos were coming up within days and I'm watching them. And what I watched was they were not able to progress and they were getting pulled back into their garbage eating and not understanding that processed foods taste sweet, cause problems, number one. But also, the most important thing to me was processed foods is not what any of the doctors had told us to eat to get to a healthy place with our body so that our body could get back to its normal healthy weight. But it gets worse because not only were these women, and there were a few guys, I can't even just say it was women because Keto Connect, it's a couple doing that channel. And so there were some Keto Savage's channel, he has his own product. So there were men as well promoting products. But what became even more frustrating is when the trusted people that I was watching in order to learn about how to do keto, some of them started promoting products. And it frustrates me and it confuses me because keto didn't disappear like the big companies expected it to. So I started keto 7 years ago, and everyone was saying keto's a fad, keto's a fad, keto's a fad. It's going to, as a matter of fact, carnivore, when it showed up on the scene, or when I heard about it, I should say, people were screaming, it's just a fad. And you're gonna have so many problems with your health if you're gonna have heart attacks and all kinds of things. Keto didn't go away, and neither did carnivore. This was a huge problem for food companies. It was a huge problem for businesses because the business model isn't based on selling us fresh meat and fresh vegetables. The business model is on selling us processed foolishness that doesn't give our body what it needs to build itself properly and to be healthy, which absolutely forces your body to store whatever you're happening to be eating in fat storage. And then it turn around and it forces your body to send you back out to get real food. We don't do that, Wellness Warrior, but that's what your body's asking you for. When you eat a meal, and let's even just say we're talking about breakfast, lunch, or supper, you eat lunch at noon and by 2 o'clock you're hungry, your body didn't want the burger and fries with the, chocolate bar that you had for dessert. That didn't help it to build you properly. And when it sends you back out for food, looking for a real piece of meat with the lowest carbohydrate vegetable you can possibly give it, and you come back in with a granola bar or two as a snack to tide you over until supper, you're not giving your body what it needs. You're not giving your body what it asks for. And it will inevitably send you back out for more food very shortly afterwards. Your body sending you back out for food absolutely plays into companies' desires. They want to sell us as much food as they possibly can. And in order to sell us as much food as they possibly can, they don't need us eating 3 times a day. They want us eating 6 to 9 times a day. And that plays itself out in the many small meals that we are all encouraged to eat in this effort to keep our calories low. Your body doesn't understand calories. To keep our calories low so that we can minimize weight gain, even though eating 6 small meals and 2 snacks is what's causing my weight to rise, my health markers to deteriorate, and my body to be failing. But it does achieve the company's goal that we would have eaten more of their food. The food that companies sell us. So I really do struggle to call that stuff food. Let me just say something about the food that companies sell us. When I buy a box of something, whether it's cereal, whether it's a loaf of bread, whether it's cookies, when you go in a store and buy a packaged something. And then you take it home and you put it on a shelf in a cupboard. That cereal, for example, can stay there in the cupboard for weeks, months on end, and still be edible. But if you were to make a home cooked breakfast, so eggs and bacon, and you try to leave it on the counter for more than a day, 2 days, 3 days, it's no longer edible. It spoils. Companies somehow have fooled us into eating highly processed stuff in place of food. And they've done that for a very good reason, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I need you to see that. You are eating highly processed stuff because, and I say stuff, it's not food. If it can stay on a counter with no refrigeration for weeks on end and not spoil, that's not food. What these companies have actually been able to do. So it's bad enough that companies were selling us cookies and calling it food. But then the dieting world started to scream about how our weight is rising, and companies came out with diet cookies. They don't taste quite as good as the regular cookies, but you still get to have a cookie. And we bought it. We were eating the stuff. But then, fast forward to now, we have keto cookies. Yeah. So on top of the fact that we have keto bars, there are keto cookies. The same company, by the way, makes keto cookies. There's keto ice cream. There's all kinds of keto junk food. But that's what it is, though. It's ketofied junk food. Why did they do that? Well, they did that because they need for us to eat their stuff, not the stuff that's healthy for us. Because making money matters more to these companies than your health, than my health, than our children's health. They would swap out sugar for artificial sweeteners. Despite the recent talk about artificial sweeteners causing all kinds of health problems for us, by the way, they'll swap out those sugars for artificial sweeteners if we will keep buying their product. And they're going to put a lot of marketing on the front of the package that tells us that, there's 21 grams of protein in here in this 60-gram bar, which, honestly, this is a 50-gram bar with 20 grams of protein. So the sugar-filled version is still doing better. You know what? Is it doing better? Hold on a second. I didn't even look at the nutrition information. Let me just verify myself, because maybe I'm even talking about things. So this bar told us that it has 21. No, it said it had 1 gram of sugar in a bar. But if you go on the back and you look at it, it says it has 21 grams of carbohydrates. 12 of them are fiber, 1 sugar, which I think that means added sugar, and then sugar alcohols, 4 grams. This product is telling us that it has 3 grams of sugar, and if I look at the back, we have 18 grams of sugar. So, but it's a smaller bar. I'll give it credit for that. But the non-keto bar has less, so it has 18 grams of carbohydrate. Let me say that properly. Has less carbohydrate in it than the keto bar. This has 2 grams of fiber, 3 grams of added sugar, and sugar alcohols 5. Wellness Warrior, do you see where the keto packaged thing actually has more sugar in it than the non-keto packaged? So, although seed oils, we don't want to be eating this one. These companies, they swap out can we even say they swap out? Because they both have the same amount of sugar alcohols. Not a keto product. But they present themselves with a lot of great marketing that makes you believe that this is a better quality product. So this is a better quality product than this, when in fact, they're pretty much the same. I wanted to even say that it's a fancier keto product, but the truth of the matter is all we really have, it's fancier because it's costing you more. A box of, I think I bought 14 of these, cost $30. And a box of these, which was about 40, cost $20. You're paying more for processed foolishness, Wellness Warrior. They both have added fiber, and we all know that fiber can be pretty much anything. The nut flours in here, are they better for you than whatever is in there's problems with nut flours, but that's a video for another time. The biggest point that I'm trying to get you to understand with this video is that this isn't a breakthrough invention. They didn't invent a new healthy food. They reformulated processed stupidity into a keto version of processed stuff that, yes, has better oil. Is it worth twice the price? I don't think so. It's not even about whether or not I think it's worth twice the price. I think the biggest problem that I see with all of this is that the people who are presenting these bars online and encouraging new people to the keto world to use these are presenting them like if they are part of a healthy keto way of eating. So wouldn't I be a hypocrite if I were to ask you guys to support me by buying some of these bars that were linked below because, it's going to support my channel and it's going to help you to lose weight, when in fact, I didn't lose weight eating any kind of bar. I lost every single pound eating real meat, real fish, poultry, eggs, vegetables. That's how I lost weight on my keto diet. No processed food. As a matter of fact, Dr. Berg, Dr. Barry convinced me. So both of those two doctors, Dr. Berg and Dr. Barry, convinced me that processed food not only would slow down my process, would harm my health. And so that's not the way that I did my keto diet. That's not the way that most of these people that I found at the very beginning said they did their keto diet. But yet today they're promoting this stuff. So what happens if you eat this stuff while you're doing your keto diet and you're trying to lose weight? Slows down your progress, maybe stalls you altogether, maybe kicks you out of ketosis and causes you to be chasing again, and you're back to eating regular food, you're back to weight gain. Any of those things are possible. Every day that you go to the grocery store, you are faced with so many keto options that aren't real options. They're chocolate bars dressed up like healthy food. And they don't even taste as good as the actual chocolate bar, which I will tell you, for the few keto replacement cakes and like little donuts and things I made at the very beginning, the reason I stopped making them was exactly that. They made me want the real thing, and they didn't taste as good as my mind was imagining they were going to taste while I was making them. And for the few things that did actually taste good, peanut butter cookies, I don't know what it was about peanut butter cookies, they actually tasted good. I would end up overeating. I would eat more than the amount that let me stay in my keto range. So then I kicked myself out of ketosis and I had to start. What would be the reason for any of us to do this to ourselves? It keeps us chasing. It keeps us wanting to give money to these companies, which is what they want. The entire keto movement was built on the idea that simple, healthy meals was what you need to get your health back, to get your weight back under control, to be pain-free, to have good mental health again, and get out there and live your life with your family, no longer worrying about food. If you're going to be there, you need to be quiet. You need to let me do my video. Okay. Wellness Warrior, the original people that I was watching are still there, and they're still pushing eat real food. But then you have new people that have come along, some people that I was trusting that I no longer trust, that have switched from You can do everything with whole food to, you can add processed products and get the results that they have, even though that's not how they originally said they got their results. In my mind, it's like saying that, I'm working out with a trainer and I'm getting these big muscle results because I work out with a trainer, but you can download this app and use cans from your cupboard, grocery store cans, and get the exact same results that I'm getting never stepping in a gym. And we can all see that that would never happen. If that person needed to go to the gym and work out with a trainer to get results, you at the minimum need the same level of weights to do what they're doing. Might not need the exact same trainer, but you need the same tools. And Wellness Warrior, the thing that they're not helping you to understand is that in this war on our health, in this war on our weight, the tool is the food. And you eating processed stupidity is you trying to curl baked beans and try to get the same results that I'm going to get with barbells at the gym. It's not going to happen. You need to eat the steak and the eggs, and you need to do that every day on repeat. You need to eat poultry, you need to eat fish, you need to eat only healthy vegetables and salads on repeat every day, not keto cookies or keto pizza or keto ice cream or keto any other stupidity that they're going to try to tell you is just as good. Follow the money. It's much more profitable. It's much more profitable to accept a sponsorship from a food company than it is to tell people to eat real food and rely on AdSense from these videos. Everybody screams about how these videos don't make a lot of money. So, what happens if I accept the sponsorship? If I take the sponsorship, that means that they're giving me money to sell something. Understand that what they want me to sell is you on the idea that this is going to fuel and build you just as well as meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. And I cannot say that because I know it's not true. And when you back any of the people that are pushing these products into a corner and ask them if there's any detrimental outcomes from eating these kind of things, and if they're telling you the truth, they're going to say yes. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, processed foods get into my body in a different way than real whole foods. We've stripped the nutrients out of the processed foods, and we've added back synthetic whatevers to try to mimic what was already in the real food. Wellness Warrior, it's always better for you to eat the real food. I cannot scream that enough. What it's costing you money, because $30 for 14 bars is ridiculous. But then it's costing you your health. These bars get some of us to abandon keto because the sweet taste is enough for us to go back to eating the real thing. These bars still push us to store fat. And if you don't make the difference and accidentally buy one of these bars, well, this is adding inflammation to your body and causing all kinds of other problems. They don't care if you feel sick, as long as they're making money. They don't care if you end up overweight, as long as they're making money. They don't care if the next generation is overweight, because that makes them more money. It is okay for people on the internet who are teaching about keto and carnivore, like I am, to want to make money. But it's not okay for me to sell your health down the river so that I can feed my family. That's inappropriate. When was the first time that you remember seeing a keto product in a store or on a shelf at a gas station or something? When was the first one that you saw? Because it's been a few years now, but now I'm seeing them everywhere. And for me, the first product was keto cookies. I don't push keto products because I don't want to harm your health, first of all. But second of all, I don't want the people that don't care about us funding what I'm trying to do here, because I want you to know that everything I'm telling you that I do, I actually do, because it's been 7 years that I'm at goal weight. And by the way, I'm still at goal weight. 7 years later, and I'm still at goal weight. There's so many people that messed with processed stuff and they weren't able to maintain themselves, Wellness Warrior. I don't have sponsors and I don't try to push this stuff and I don't talk about recipes and the food that I eat because it doesn't serve you. The way that I support myself on this channel, if you're wondering, is because of these great people that help me to make these videos. And I would appreciate if you become one of these people because you help the channel to stay pure and that I'm giving you the best information that I have in the moment. The truth about how to be healthy is so simple, but people ask me about it all the time, over and over. Violet, what do you eat? What do you eat? What do you eat? The simple truth is eat real food. And that's been the answer from the beginning of time. If you ignore processed foods, ultra processed foolishness, all the garbage, and you eat meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, you will lose weight. 7 years ago, Dr. Fung helped me to remember that sugar and carbohydrates are two words for the same stuff. So when I started to track what I was eating, and I put all the food in Chronometer, I'm not sponsored, that was the app I used, and saw that from day to day, I was eating 450-ish grams of sugar per day. For those of you who are not bakers, and that's a pound of sugar per day. That's what I was eating. I understood what Dr. Fung was telling me, that yes, my hormones were putting all of that sugar that I was eating daily in healthy bread and rice and pasta and potatoes and carrots. All those vegetables and grains that I was eating were causing me to store fat on my body every single day. I finally understood it. And what I did was I took my carbohydrate intake down to 20. Well, I tried to take it down to 20. I got it down to about 75 and lost a bunch of weight. And then I got it down to 20 about 2 weeks later and kept losing. But what was really crazy is that I actually started my keto lifestyle because my hip was hurting and impeding my ability to walk, impeding my ability to work, impeding my ability to do all of my activities, which I love to do. Longboard, ride my bike, play with my daughter, do all kinds of fun things. Today I've added climbing to the list of things that I like to do. And after 3 months of eating real food, low sugar vegetables, no fruit, because I've always hated fruit, my hip was back to feeling absolutely fine. I was riding my longboard again. I was riding my bike again. I was going on long walks and playing at the park with the kids again. Back to normal. And with a total of 5 months, so started keto April, 5 months later in September, I was at goal weight. Wellness Warrior, I had never been able to lose 80 pounds in 5 months ever before, and I tried to lose weight before. But more importantly, I was never able to keep the weight off. That was 7 years ago. And you just saw how I'm at goal weight. Do you know anyone who lost a significant amount of weight and kept all of it off over 7 years? The interesting thing is that the statistics say that that doesn't happen, right? Statistically, most people regain a good portion of the weight so like 90% of people will regain the weight they've lost within a year. No, is it 50% of people? Let's take a look. A study showed that 1 in 210 men and 1 in 124 women who had low-level obesity were able to achieve their goal of weight loss over the course of 9 years. And then when you're looking at people who actually achieve weight loss, 80% regain 10% or more of what they've lost within the first year. And I know that like the number over 5 years jumps up to like a significant amount of people actually regaining the weight. Yet I somehow lost 80 pounds in 5 months and have maintained the complete weight loss over 7 years. Easily. Without fighting with myself, without fighting with food. All I ate was real food. So, what I want you to think about, Wellness Warrior, if you want to succeed at weight loss, first of all, do what the people who lost weight did to achieve the weight loss. And they didn't do it by eating stuff like this. They ate real food. So, simple rule. If a food item has a long list of ingredients, that's not real food. Stop calling that food. This is garbage. Real food has a name, and the name is the thing you're eating. Chicken, fish, eggs, that's food. Eggplant, broccoli, cauliflower, that's food. I honestly want you to make a commitment to yourself today that moving forward, you only eat food. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs. That's actually food. By the way, carbohydrates are on your plate for fun. I made a video about it. You can check out over there. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put another video here talking about why you shouldn't really probably eat like me. Check that video. I made that video years ago and it's still valid till today.